The story of railways begins more than 200 years ago. Before James Watt invented the steam engine at the end of the 17th century, production was mainly manual and the output was limited. Human-powered vehicles, horse-drawn carriages, and sailing ships were the primary means of transportation. After the Industrial Revolution, machines enabled mass production, and traditional modes of transport could no longer meet the demands for transporting large quantities of goods and people. In 1825, in response to the new era of mass production, George Stephenson built the world's first railway between Stockton and Darlington in England. He also invented the train locomotion, capable of carrying 450 passengers at a speed of 25 kilometers per hour, marking the birth of railway transportation. Western nations recognized that machines could increase production and that railway transport could rapidly move goods and people, thus propelling humanity from a primitive state to modernity. As a result, nations pursued industrialization and rushed to develop railway transportation, fearing they would fall behind and become poor. Within 30 years of the advent of railway transport in Britain, nearly all the world's advanced nations had joined the railway revolution. The global development of railways began after the first railway opened in Britain in 1825. Before the 1850s, several countries followed suit, including the United States, France, Belgium, Germany, Canada, Russia, Austria, the Netherlands, and Italy in the 1830s, Switzerland and Spain in the 1840s, and Brazil, India, Australia, and Egypt in the 1850s. 40 years after the first train ran on British soil, Japan joined the railway era in 1872. China officially opened its first railway in 1881, becoming the third country in Asia to do so, following India and Japan. In 1891, Liu Mingchuan Railway in Taiwan was the second railway in China built with the Qing government's approval, following the Tongshan-Zhugezhuang Railway, the first government-sanctioned railway. By this time, British railway construction had already reached 30,000 kilometers. During the 1860s, Western powers, recognizing the benefits of railways and seeking easier access to China's resources, began requesting permission from the Qing government to build railways in China. However, the Qing dynasty, with its conservative values and fear of foreign exploitation and unemployment among the people, firmly opposed these requests. Despite the government's opposition, reform-minded officials such as Li Hongzheng, the Qing dynasty's Western Affairs minister, realized that without building railways, China risked becoming a poor and backward nation. While rejecting foreign applications to construct railways, Li advocated for China to build its own. However, due to the conservative atmosphere and strong resistance at the time, China missed the early opportunity to take the lead in developing its own railway system. Although China opposed the construction of railways by foreign powers, Britain was undeterred. In 1865, British businessman Durand personally funded and built a small railway, 0.5 kilometers long, outside Beijing's Zuanmumen Gate without permission. This railway was intended to showcase the benefits of railways in China. However, the conservative citizens of Beijing saw it as something monstrous, and fear spread among the people. To quell the unrest, the Qing government quickly dismantled the railway. In addition to the demonstration railway built by British merchants in Beijing, foreign businessmen in Shanghai also persisted in their efforts to construct railways. In 1865, they established the Wusong Railway Company by pooling resources. Without official approval, they bought land and began building the railway between Shanghai and Wusong, completing the first railway in China, the Wusong Railway. The railway was 12 miles long, with a track gauge of 762 millimeters and a speed of 24 to 32 kilometers per hour. Before the railway opened, locomotives Pioneer and Celestial Empire were purchased from Britain and transported to Shanghai via the United States. The Wusong Railway officially opened in 1876, and the day after its inauguration, Chinese citizens were invited to ride for free. However, this first railway, which took more than 10 years to complete, encountered a tragic incident just 2 months after its opening, when a Chinese citizen was run over by a moving train. This accident caused a major uproar in society and raised serious concerns about railway safety. To prevent the situation from worsening, the British envoy ordered the suspension of railway operations. Since this private railway was not approved by the Qing government, Shanghai authorities insisted on dismantling it. After negotiations between the foreign investors and the Qing government, the railway was purchased by the local Shanghai authorities with payment installments. Once the final payment was made in 1877, the Wusong Railway ceased operations. China's first foreign-built railway ultimately faced dismantlement due to ongoing incidents and public safety concerns. The Tangshan-Zhugezhuang Railway was the first railway in China to be approved by the Qing government. The idea for the railway came from Li Hongzhang, who needed to supply coal to the Beiyang Fleet, the China Merchants Steam Navigation Company, and the Tianjin Machine Factory. In 1877, Li appointed Tang Jingxing to establish the Chinese Engineering and Mining Company to transport coal from Tangshan to the coast for shipping. Li repeatedly petitioned the Qing court for permission to build a railway from Tangshan to Zhugezhuang, and after multiple setbacks, he finally received approval. This became the first government-approved railway in China. Although the railway was permitted by the government, after the first 7 miles of construction, opposition from Qing officials and local gentry, who believed the railway would disrupt feng shui, led to the revocation of the permit. Li Hongzhang did not give up and once again petitioned the Qing court, arguing that due to the terrain, it was impossible to build a canal between Tangshan and Zhugezhuang, making the railway essential for coal transport. Eventually, approval was granted with the restriction that no steam engines could be used. Instead, the railway could only operate with mules. This railway, referred to as the Fast Car Road, officially began construction in June 1881 and was completed in November of the same year, spanning 9.3 kilometers. To avoid stirring further opposition, mules were initially used for transportation. Steam engines were not introduced until 1882. The Zhugezhuang Railway Workshop was China's first railway factory, established in May 1880. It specialized in repairing and manufacturing coal cars for use on the Tangshan-Zhugezhuang Railway and has a history spanning over 100 years. When the Zhugezhuang Railway Workshop was first established, British engineers were hired, and the initial scale of the factory was very small. It had only a few dozen workers and basic facilities. In addition to hand-powered machinery, it also had a few steam-powered machines, making it one of the most advanced factories of its time. The first Chinese-manufactured steam locomotive, the Rocket of China, was produced at this workshop a year after its founding. In this modest workshop, the workers used scrap materials to replicate Britain's famous rocket steam locomotive, successfully producing China's first domestically made steam locomotive, which was named the Rocket of China. It was also known as the Dragon locomotive because Chinese workers engraved a dragon on each side. Along with this homemade locomotive, the Chinese Engineering and Mining Company purchased 2 double water tank locomotives from Britain in 1882, marking the beginning of unrestricted locomotive operation in China. Zhugezhuang Railway Station, built in 1880, is China's longest-running train station. Serving as a transfer station for the Tangshan coal mines, it connected with the Coal River Wharf, where raw coal from Tangshan was loaded onto ships and transported by water to Tianjin and other destinations. Zhugezhuang Station thus became China's earliest railway and waterway freight transfer station. By 1883, Tangshan's coal production had reached over 75,000 tons, dominating the Tianjin market. This small station, bustling daily with trains and ships, became a focal point of attention. Between 1883 and 1887, Li Hongzhang pioneered the establishment of the Imperial Chinese Railways by issuing the country's first comprehensive railway share prospectus under the name of the Kaiping Railway Company. He sought to raise 1 million taels of silver for railway construction, and in 1887, the Imperial Chinese Railways was officially founded. Li Hongzheng's efforts solidified his role as a key figure in launching railway construction in China's railway development history. Taiwan's earliest industrial railway was a light coal transport railway laid by Ding Richang in 1877 at Badouzi, Keelung. However, since it was exclusively for coal transportation, the first general passenger and freight railway in Taiwan is generally recognized as the 1887 Liu Mingchuan Railway. During the Qing Dynasty, Liu Mingchuan, Taiwan's first governor and a close assistant to Li Hongzheng, experienced the challenges of limited transportation and the hindered development of trade while defending Taiwan against the French. He petitioned for and received approval to construct a railway. To commence construction, Liu Mingchuan established the Taiwan Railway Business Bureau in 1887. As Taiwan had no previous railway construction experience, British and German engineers were hired as chief engineers and technical supervisors to guide the military personnel involved in building the railway. Liu Mingchuan actively participated in the construction process. He also set up a machinery bureau in Dadoqing to support the repair of railway equipment. The primary purpose of Liu Mingchuan's railway was to facilitate the transportation of personnel and supplies between Taipei and Keelung. Thus, the construction of the Taipei-Keelung section was prioritized, beginning on June 9, 1887, in Dadoqing, passing through Songsan, Nangang, Shiji, and Badu, and traversing Shiqiling before reaching Keelung. The railway between Taipei and Keelung was completed in 1891. Shiqiling, located on the boundary between Badu and Keelung, was a remote, rugged mountain pass filled with malarial conditions, yet an unavoidable route between Taipei and Keelung. Construction of the Shiqiling Tunnel began in 1888, spanning 235 meters and taking 30 months to complete in 1890. This was one of the most challenging projects, with a workforce of around 750 soldiers facing a mortality rate of 60 to 70% due to heatstroke and illness. Even the supervising commander succumbed to illness and was replaced by another. The southern entrance of the tunnel had soft, collapse-prone soil, especially during rains, making it very dangerous, while the northern end had a more stable rocky foundation. To expedite construction, work began simultaneously from both ends. However, due to limited surveying techniques, a 14-foot height discrepancy was discovered when the two sides met in the middle. Fortunately, the tunnel was successfully opened and later adjusted. Today, remnants of the tunnel show a higher arch on the northern side, with a slightly curved, bow-shaped profile rather than a straight alignment. Upon the tunnel's completion, Liu Mingchuan inscribed the phrase "expansive as the heavens" at the southern entrance, signifying the difficulty of the project. In 1888, Liu imported 2 steam locomotives from Germany, named Tingyun and Yufeng, which became Taiwan's first trains. These locomotives primarily served the new railway between Taipei and Keelung and transported goods at the Dadoqing Wharf. Tingyun locomotive remained in service until its official retirement in 1924 and is currently preserved at the 228 Peace Memorial Park. The Tamsui River cuts through the greater Taipei area, and a bridge was necessary to extend the railway across it. Construction on the Taipei Bridge began in 1888 and was completed in August 1889, connecting Sanchong to Dadoqing Wharf in Taipei. Initially designed as a durable iron bridge, it was instead built as a wooden bridge due to budget constraints and the need to use local materials. At the time, to accommodate ship traffic on the Tamsui River, a steel beam and iron swing gate were installed on the wooden bridge near the northern bank. When ships needed to pass, the gate could be raised and lowered to allow passage. The Taipei Bridge required frequent repairs, as the wooden pillars were often waterlogged and placed too closely, intensifying the impact of the tides. On October 20, 1891, the Dadoqing station was opened. The section from Taipei to Keelung, under construction since 1887, was completed in 1891, stretching 28.6 kilometers. Xiao Youlian, the second governor, arrived in Keelung by ship and took a first-class train to Dadoqing in Taipei to assume his post. The first generation of Keelung Station was completed in 1891. It was a traditional building located near today's Pier 4 at Keelung Port. The station not only served as a major transport hub linking to maritime routes, but also became a central point for freight and shipping. The railway line from Taipei to Hsinchu included some challenging sections, especially the winding path from Haishenkou through Tailiaking, Gairunling, to Taoyuan. The Taipei-Taoyuan section was completed and opened by the end of November 1891. The Hsinchu station, originally called the Hsinchu Ticket Office, was finished the same year. It was a 14-ping Minnan-style earthen building, set at the foot of Jintou Mountain to avoid any superstitions of disrupting feng shui, with a slight distance from the city center. In June 1893, the Fangshan River Railway Bridge was completed. By October 1893, the line from Taipei to Hsinchu was fully operational, spanning 106.1 kilometers. However, in 1894, due to financial difficulties, Governor Xiao Youlian petitioned the Qing court to halt further railway construction, stopping the line at Hsinchu. In 1895, the First Sino-Japanese War broke out, and with the Treaty of Shimonoseki, Taiwan was ceded to Japan, transferring control of Taiwan's railway infrastructure to the Japanese military. During the Qing era, Taiwan lacked railway experts, and Liu Mingchuan's railway was entirely built by soldiers. Without machinery, they relied on manual labor, resulting in an uneven track. At first, tickets were not issued. Instead, the departure and arrival stations were handwritten on postage stamps with a brush to serve as tickets. The uneven track meant slow travel, allowing passengers to board and disembark freely along the route, making fare evasion common. Although carriages were divided into 3 classes, the lack of regulation allowed passengers with third-class tickets, or none at all, to occupy first-class seats. To address fare evasion, ticket inspectors were appointed. When passengers couldn't pay, inspectors would accept their personal belongings, such as chickens or ducks, as fare. Although Liu Mingchuan's railway was incomplete, it marked the beginning of Taiwan's railway history.